This morning, July 29, 2010, I received an email dated 21 July 2010 from the State of Israel, Ministry of Justice, the Human Rights and Foreign Relations Department. Thank you very much for writing me, and I will respond to all 3 pages of your 13-point letter in my next article, Who's Behind the Curtain at Wikipedia and Facebook, which will be published first at wearewideawake.org at the Vanunu Saga 2005-2010. But I take this opportunity to speak to you on YouTube because you neglected to respond to what I wrote to you about, which was the fact that on 23 May 2010, Mordechai Vanunu began another 3-month jail sentence in solitary confinement, essentially for speaking to foreign media in 2004. But the Israeli Ministry of Justice, Human Rights and Foreign Relations Department neglected to respond regarding the fact of, on 18 of June 2010, Malcolm Smart, the director of Amnesty International's Middle East program, said, Mordechai Vanunu should not be in prison at all, let alone in solitary confinement in a unit intended for violent criminals. He suffered immensely when he was held in solitary confinement for 11 years after his imprisonment in 1986, and to return him to such conditions now is nothing less than cruel, inhuman, and degrading. The restrictions on Mordechai Vanunu arbitrarily limit his rights to freedom of movement, expression, and association, and are therefore in breach of international law. They should be lifted, and he should be allowed to start his life again as a free man. End quote. On Sunday, 11th of July, Vanunu received his second visitor in 7 weeks, the first being with his lawyer, and the second his brother Meir, who wrote, The disturbing main fact is that he is held in the hardest prison section there is in all of Israeli prisons. It has the most notorious criminals in the country, well-known hard murder cases, and so on, all about a dozen in a severe isolation conditions. Of course, there is no justification for doing this to Mordechai, and it is only a continuous vindictiveness and harassment by the secret services and are not serving any so-called security interests. In the last 6 years of his 18 years in prison, he was not even in such isolation and was allowed with other prisoners outside the cell every day. So the claim that they are doing this for his protection is simply a lie. He's in a cell by himself for 24 hours a day, no window, about an hour walk in a tiny yard. The Shabak simply threw him into a cell, locked the door, and let him suffer there. You can imagine he has not spoken to anyone in these 7 weeks, and today it was his first conversation. He doesn't know what's going on in the outside world. He has no news of anything. Of course his spirits are down as a result of being put to such harsh, inhumane, and cruel conditions. And on the other hand, from his words, I could feel that he continues fighting this reality to keep well and hopeful and sees the day of his freedom coming in 6 weeks. Another brother of Vanunu's, Jonathan, traveled from the U.S. to Israel and went to the prison to visit his brother, but the prison commander refused him admission even though the visit was prearranged and scheduled. Their friend, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maureen McGuire wrote, Some people say Vanunu will never be allowed to leave Israel. He will die there, if indeed in the meantime his spirit is not broken by his ill treatment and he loses his sanity. What follows is what Vanunu said on this topic on March 24, 2006, excerpted from 30 Minutes with Vanunu.